Let me see here. Can you guys hear me now? Let me see if you guys can hear me. All right. You can interpret hand signals? He said just now. Okay, now you can hear me. All right. Hey, listen, guys. I apologize. I'm having, those of you that are in TWC, you know I've been having since last week when I had that power surge hit my computer. And we got it working for a bit there, and now I'm having issues again. So I'm trying to run this off 2 different computers at the moment, y'all. Strange sounds in the background. That's what I can do here. Says we heard you when you brought up the second screen. Where's that going now? All right, there we go. I got the echoing off there. Said we heard you when you brought up the second screen. Maybe just go live with that without the video. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just having so many issues. How bad is that little thumping noise? Still drums, still thumping. I don't understand why that's happening. This is ridiculous. It doesn't look like we'll be able to do this, guys, if you're having that. Yeah, I've tried both ways. I've tried the muting on both of these here. Let me see. There's a bumping noise on there. Doesn't make any sense. Just talk a little louder than normal. I wonder. Let me see. Nope, I don't even have my earphones here. And it's just constant right now, guys, because I can't hear it on my end. So is it just constant right now? Yeah, I've only got one mic going. I've got the other one muted. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can figure this out. Give me just 1 second, guys. I'm so sorry. So sorry here. Come back here. Can you guys hear me right now? The drums are gone, but you can hear me? All right. All right, give me just a minute here, guys. Well, let me see here. No more noise, but you can hear me. Is that correct? I'm just trying to verify with you guys here. All right, so here's what we're going to do then, guys. We're going to bring up some charts, all right? I do apologize. You can't see my ugly face, but we're going to go ahead and pull up some charts here so we can get you something going on here, all right? All right. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. All right. So I know y'all are used to seeing pretty faces, and you don't get to see, I don't have a pretty face to see anyway. So it's not like it's going to be that big a loss, right? I just wanted to be able to share some thoughts with you guys on the charts here, with what's going on right now, because, of course, everybody's all frustrated with the alts and everything's kind of going on with all that. And then there's Bitcoin. And, it seems like we've been sitting here for years now with everybody saying it's the top, in Bitcoin for years, right? And even stocks. And, clearly they've been wrong. I've never said that. I've said we're consistently going higher here because there's been no reason to, right? And so here we are now. Here we are. We've got the S&P, we've got the NASDAQ pretty close to all-time highs. I mean, like really pretty close there. We've got Bitcoin sitting. I mean, who would have thought, right, that you'd be complaining about Bitcoin's price here when it's, above 100,000? And so the way I'm kind of looking at Bitcoin, let's start with Bitcoin here, right? So this is kind of how I'm looking at Bitcoin at the moment here. And with this, to me, this looks like potentially a large triangle here. So we get an A, a B. Now, there's two ways I'm looking at this. I was looking at this as the blue count here, A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. But then we had this thing, and I thought, okay, maybe we got a triangle here, but then we broke out. We got rejected here at the weekly pivot. Okay. So as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3 waves down right now. So if we can, I don't think we're going to do it. I think we're going to break down here. But if we were to hold this low down here, so on this Bitcoin all-time index chart, okay, as long as we're holding above this swing low right here, which is right here on this chart is 103, 402, 83. As long as we're holding above that and we break out above this swing high up here at 107, 761, 48, that would say that this is done. A, B, C, D, and E. Okay? That would say that's done. Triangle's done. I think we continue to break down though. So as I'm looking at this, instead of this blue count here, I think we may be potentially looking at the red count. Okay? And the red count again says A, B, but then this is still C here. So we get an A, B, C for wave C. Is what I'm thinking, okay? So again, if we're breaking down through here, that target becomes this weekly S1 pivot right there around 102,000, depending on what chart you're on. It's a little bit above, a little bit below. But right there around that 102,000. So kind of like what we had here when I was looking at this as a triangle, but still the same thing from here, right? Just keep on coming down like this. And here's the reality. As long as wave A holds as support down here at 100,430.75 here on this chart, this possibility that this is wave C coming down here remains. Okay? So again, the ideal here is that we've got a triangle going A, B, potentially C, then we'll get a D, then we'll get an E, and then we'll break out. Okay? Now that breakout's pretty great because based on the height of this pattern here, this consolidation, that gives us almost $120,000 target. And so for me, that's kind of what I'm looking for at the moment here. Get rid of this one. There we go. So we're looking for the breakdown here to take us down to this 102,000, maybe even a little bit lower here. All we have to do, just wave A has to hold for support here at about 100,430 or whatever it is on your chart. This swing low around June 5th. That's it. Now, the big picture is if we zoom out here a bit, the big picture is the 100,000 level is what's kind of holding here, right? This is, see this previous resistance here at 100,000? See these little hit in this area here constantly? And then it's support and support and, remain support here. And so really we're just kind of getting this consolidation on top of that 100,000. Okay? So Fibonacci says 100,266 is a huge Fibonacci previous threshold in his model. So he likes the confluence for sure on there. I'm going to put this over here. Maybe you guys can read the comments when they come up here now. Would you still be expecting a move back towards 100,000 after the breakout to 119, 120? Yeah, so here's my thought. If this is a triangle right here, then this is a wave 4. So wave 5 would be your final thrust up. Now, it doesn't have to stop at 120,000. It's just that's what we use as our pattern targets. We just get that. You take not your extension, you take your fib retracement tool, and you measure out the largest part of that correction, the widest part from the top to the bottom. And like I said, it's not your extension tool, but you're just going to go in there on your style, and you're going to make sure you check the 1618 box. And all that means is your target. If you measure out the highest part, the tallest part of wave 4 or of this correction, and then you add 61.8% of that on top of it, that's all you're doing. So you're going 161.8 from that swing low. And that just gives us a basic pattern target that we usually lose, okay? Or that we usually use, okay? So for me, yeah, if we were to hit that, I would expect a pullback. Now here's the other thing. Triangles normally work as support. Now, they normally work as support because what are you doing? You're building a base. You've got a resistance here Then you're building this base on top of this resistance. So breaking out and pulling back to it should work as support. And that should keep that 100,000 holding now. So that's what I'm kind of looking at here if we do that. Now here's the thing though. Let's say we do break down, right? Let's say we do go ahead and break down through wave A here. This swing low down here at 100,430. Now, if we break down below that, that's going to invalidate this triangle. And then we're going to be looking at this as an A, a B, and a C. Okay? First thought is we would just sweep the 100,000 area. You get a wick down below 100,000, maybe to 98,000, who knows, right? And then back up. You get that close back above 100,000, maybe even above wave, this wave A area here. If we continued, not just a sweep, but we continued to push down, then my thought is we would hit this monthly S1 pivot here at about 94.5, 95,000, depending on what chart you're on. And that would be our target, and then we'd move back up. You see we have this large low volume node here, which is providing that support. So first thought is it continues to provide support. If we lose it, maybe we wick down and head up. But if we continue down, we look down toward that 94.5, 95,000 kind of area. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? Because all we've done, guys, listen, this is just sideways. So we have been sideways here effectively for about 43 days. We have effectively been sideways here that whole time. And so that's why you have the possibilities, right? If you were to draw your range on here, what you're looking at is something like this. And we are just basically, most of the time it's being spent just right below the EQ of this range, right? Now, I like the fact that the volume's basically dropping off. As we've come up the top here, and then we got a little bit of a spike down here at the low, which you would expect, demand showing up. And then we get up here, and as we come down again, you get a spike down here, demand showing up. So you back up, you're coming down here. You're getting volume again at the low. So you're getting these volume spikes at the low. We're just not getting any real follow through yet. But when you're seeing all that demand continuing to show up at those lows, toward the bottom of the range here, I mean, you should be looking for that range low to kind of hold more than anything else. It doesn't guarantee it. There is no guarantees in trading. There are no guarantees in trading. But when you're looking at that, pay attention to where your volume is coming in on your range, right? Where you're at. Pay attention where your volume's coming in. And in this case, it continues to come in right down here at these lows, right? Other than this one right here, of course, this rejection here, which, catching up here. So, but again, if this continues to, if this wave 3 here holds at about 103,400, if we don't get a drop down below that, and instead we get a breakout up here above this 107,761, that should indicate the triangle's done and we're going to head up toward 119,000. Now, what I was telling the students at the Trading Academy is that what I was looking for before we got this breakout here was I was thinking maybe we get a triangle here. So we get a 1, 2, 3, 4 is a triangle. 5 gets us this S1 pivot. And so then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we kind of do this move down here, up to wave D, pull back to wave E. And at the beginning of the week, maybe we get this move out higher. So we were already preparing just to kind of get a little bit more consolidation through the weekend, into Monday. Now, if I'm looking at this, I say, okay, what's maybe going on here? If we break out higher, what does that mean? Well, if I'm looking at this, that's going to suggest to me that we have like a leading diagonal here. We have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get 3 waves up for 5. So that would be the way I'd see this. We would actually have a 1, like an ABC 1, 2, W, X, Y, or ABC 3, 4, ABC 5. So, well, when we're looking at this, we're only 3 waves right here. You see, now that's a big third wave, but on the 1 hour, you got the reset in the stochastic RSI here. RSI didn't quite reset down there, but you know, we just got to see what we're doing, because all we're doing is just sideways, right? So when we're looking at this, again, the idea being A, B, C is 1, 2, A, W, X, Y maybe, or A, B, C is 3, and then 4, and then A, B, C up there for 5. And I could see this happening over the weekend as well. I could see this going up on Friday into Saturday, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll have a 1 here, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll have a pullback for a 2. And then Monday of next week, we'll start getting that 3 on the way up. So right now, all you're watching is, do we break down below 103,402 on this chart here? Or do we, in this case, does this low hold here and we kind of break out above this 106, 192 area here? Because that would lock that in as 3 waves down. But again, guys, you're like, oh, well, why can't you just tell us what's going to do? Well, because it's just sideways. We don't have, we have waves of 3 overlapping. So we have corrective overlaps is what we're having. We don't have impulsive movement. You have this one impulsive movement right here after this impulsive movement right here. But really, again, so far, this is just 3 waves down right here. There's 30 minute, there's your 30 minute, there's your 15 minute. I mean, look at that. So again, if we just kind of rally ourselves back up, now right here, it looks like 3 waves right here. So really, again, just focus on, are we breaking down below 103,400 area here? This, whatever chart you're looking at, it's from, it looks like it's the June 17th swing low. Are we breaking down below that, or are we breaking back out higher here? If we break down below it, again, look at that 102 area, 102,000 area. If it continues down, sweep of 100,000. If it continues down, 94.5, 95.5 area. To the other way, if we're breaking out higher here, and especially in this case, because this is, as you can see, are 3 waves down, right? It would be an ABC if as long as this holds here. So that's to the bottom. So if we're breaking out here to the top and we break out above this swing high at 107,761.5, if we break out above that, then that signals that this triangle is complete here. A, B, C, D, and E. And again, I think this would give us just like a leading diagonal here. We'll get a 3, 4, 5. Gives us an A, or I'm sorry, a 1 and a 2, and then we'll break out higher. As long as this swing low is holding down here, this wave A at about 100,430 or whatever, as long as it's holding and we're breaking out higher, we've got about $120,000 target. Because remember, despite whatever's going on here, that target's just based on the widest part, the highest part of this, this correction here, which is this. So whether it does dip here or even here, or that's as low as it goes up, any of that, it's still got that $120,000 target. Okay? So we're going to see what happens here. That's really what it is. It's just a bunch of consolidation that we've had over the last 40 somewhat days. So now's not the time to sleep, I guess is what I'm saying, guys. Watch for the movement either through that swing low and then you've got those targets to the downside, or watch for that breakout, up here above this 107,761 area to signal that the triangle's likely complete here and we're headed up toward that 120,000 area. Or, it could even, it could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. But right now, just because we don't have any real impulsive movement on that next wave up yet, so right now we just use that pattern target as our initial target. And then once we start getting some movement, whether it's from here heading up or we get something like this, then we can come in and zoom in and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and figure a better target. But yeah, I like the idea of 100,000 holding. Now that we've finally kind of gotten above it, again, I like to zoom out these larger time frames because you can see it a little bit better. But you start seeing that you get this consolidation here on top of this previous. This was the consolidation here. We had some, a little bit of deviations here outside of it, but really your consolidation is this area right here. And so now we're getting consolidation on top of this consolidation. That's what you'd like to see. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Setting your trading alerts, now you just need to turn the notifications on. Exactly. Mr. Awesome is in our trading community, and he had his he was RSVP'd to one of our live events, and he turned off his notifications though, so he didn't get the update to the new link. Yeah, can't do that. What else do I like? I like that on the daily here. Whoops. Stochastic RSI reset yesterday down here in oversold and is, continuing to reset today. RSI is right around neutral. So, I mean, this is a great combination, especially around support here. So we want to see it hold and get some rally up on that. There's your monthly. Look at your reset down here. And the stochastic RSI is just starting to get to neutral. Got a lot of room to go. RSI continuing to find some resistance right here and right here. Support right here and right here, right? So RSI on the monthly is just in this range. So most people, what they'll focus on is they'll focus on this here. And they don't pay attention to anything else, right? But again, on the monthly, what do we have? You have your previous resistance here as support, right? You've got this great monthly candle, great bullish engulfing candle here at support. Another big move into the top here. A little bit of a doji there. But here's the thing, guys. What happened right here at this resistance? Doji, and then big move up, right? We're at this resistance, doji, and everybody's going, oh, look, it's a doji at the resistance. So we got to come down. No. Right here, it broke out higher. Right here at this resistance, another doji broke out higher. Now, there was a little bit of pullback there too, but ultimately broke out higher and continued up, right? Prior to the resistance right here, you have this doji. A little bit of a pullback and then boom, up. Again, right here, this resistance, doji, follow through higher, right? So stop listening to the nonsense online and thinking just because there's a doji that means you have to reverse. There are no reversal candles. There's no such thing. The things that people call reversal candles are just potential reversals. They're pauses, potential reversals, right? Because I just showed you time and time again here. How many different times did I just show you on the monthly where you hit a resistance area, a swing high, and you got a doji, and then it followed up after that, right? There was no follow through to the downside. So I wouldn't worry so much about this because, again, 1, 2, 3, where was it? 4. I mean, even right here, even though it wasn't the wick, it was the body here, right? So there's 5. I mean, these are, worst case scenario, a little bit of a pullback before further upside. Does that make sense? And yeah, Andrew says on the monthly Bitcoin, the only real bearish sign is a potential bear div at the top. Right, potential, exactly. It hasn't been confirmed at all, right? Because again, there's no, you don't have this move down and lock down lower, right? Just have some sideways here. So if we continue to push up higher, that's going to pull your RSI up higher and potentially invalidate bearish divergence there, right? So, I mean, I agree with Andrew. The only thing on the monthly is potential bearish divergence. But it's definitely not bearish divergence at the moment because it hasn't been confirmed. And if it hasn't been confirmed, that means there's still opportunity for price to rally higher and to pull it up with it. And then that would invalidate it, right? So yeah, I mean, overall, in big picture for me here, again, you got your resistance, pull it, breakout, came back, retested that resistance as support. And now we're attempting to break out higher. This is a very bullish setup here. Again, with this resistance here, you hit the resistance, you pull back, you break out, then you pull back to test that resistance as support. and get ready to break out again. This move right here with this resistance is a very bullish kind of setup. Does that make sense, guys and gals? Everybody's watching. So yeah, that's what. I'm still thinking upside overall. I'm still thinking, we're not at the top's not in yet. I don't think this right here is this right here, anything like that. Okay. So we're going to continue to watch this as it goes on. I see a lot of great things happening in this area. And pretty much the same people that are calling this a top and saying that this is the same thing as this here are the same people that said this was the top, 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 this was the top. And it's the same people for, the last couple of years. They've been calling a top every time. Eventually they're going to be right. But that doesn't make them good at analysis or even good at trading, right? That just makes them good at repeating the same thing until it finally happens. I think when people are looking at this and go, oh, is this the same thing as this? And put it there. I think that's just to draw, that's one of two things on social media. One, it's either just it's clickbait. It's to get you to look at their post. Or two, if that's what they really think, I don't know. It's a very, very rudimentary way to look at the market. There's not. It's very blunt force kind of way of looking at the market. It's not very finessed at all. And I mean, okay. So if you're new, you're going to be more blunt force. You're going to be more basic with the way you're looking at charts and whatever. But what you find out as you learn to do it better and better is you get away from a lot of that blunt force kind of stuff that basically all of what you'll notice all of social media talks about, right? And you move on to the more finessed ways of looking at it. But I don't see anything really terrible at this area here. I think we continue going up. Did it not break a trend line if drawn across all those highs? Which highs, man? You talking about this right here, or about that right there? Or are you talking about up closer here? Zoom in a weekly here. I mean, right here, we're just kind of at there. Right? We're kind of right here. So we have the top of these wicks here, and the candle closes right there, but we got wicks up pushing again. This is interesting 2 weeks here for sure. Yes, the first one, but bring it up a bit. What did I do with it? Oh, this one down here. Oh, right here? Yeah, of course. Boom, boom, pull back, boom. I mean, so basically what you had the retest, rejection at the all-time high, the pullback, the retest of the resistance as support, and then the big candle through it. So yeah. I mean, again, it's hard to not like what we're seeing here on this, of course. This one down here. And notice that 120,000 area right up. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to pull the monthly over. But it's right up here just prior to the yearly R1 pivot. So a lot of times you'll get, this movement up to the pivot and then the pullback and then the go. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a 1 up here to 120,000, we get rejected there. The 38.2 pullback is around 100,000. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe like a flat correction right there. So we get up to 120, we pull back down to around 100, we rally back up to around 120, pull back down to around 100,000, and then we break out. Now I could also see on the weekly or the monthly, I could see maybe a wick down to that 95,000 area, but the body of the candle closed at 100,000, and we just get a wick down there, so that 100,000 area holds the support. Okay. So, yeah, we had the question earlier, do I expect a pullback after the 120,000, yeah. And I would expect to pull back to about 100,000. But again, we're thinking macro here. Again, this being on the macro being a 1 and a pullback for the 2. So I would not be surprised to see that wick down to around 95,000, but that weekly or monthly candle closing back at around 100,000 or above. Okay? Does that make sense? That makes sense. I get you. Which is just going to frustrate people even more, right? Because they're sitting here, oh, we're at 112 and now we're at 104. And then we finally break out. They're like, yay, we're at 120. And then it gets rejected again. And then they go sideways for a few months, right? Through that area. So, yeah, even a 91K pullback is fine for sure, for sure. But at 94 here, 95,000, you're still over here with all this support from back here in November of 24. So again, right now we just got to see, is that triangle complete or does it need to drop down a bit more and complete a bigger triangle through the weekend and head up, or even, you know, just sweep it to the 95 and then head up. What's going on, Bamboo? He says, put the fibs on the weekly time frame on Fibonacci settings. They tell a nice story. Yeah, are you talking about, yeah, but you know, are you a log chart and log on the fibs? Or what here? And where are you talking about pulling them from? What Bamboo's talking about here is when you pull your fibs like this, you know, what I'm looking at is, does he have the fib levels based on log scale? Because that's what I do. By the way, guys, if you're ever trying to get the same targets I am and you're not coming up with it, even though you're pulling from the same area, make sure that your fib extension or your retracement on style, on the first tab style, scroll all the way to the bottom, make sure you check the fib levels based on log scale box, and then make sure that you're set on logarithmic chart, not on regular. All right? So make sure that you do that. Let me see here. Let me jump ahead here real quick. I wanted to get through some alts here, guys. But the first thing is total. So here's where we're looking at on total market cap, which excludes, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And so we're in a descending channel here. We are below, we were like basically halfway between the pivot on the monthly and the S1 pivot. Let me zoom this over to the weekly here. We're hovering right around this yearly pivot right here. So as we continue to watch this, again, we're right here at this low volume node. It's kind of kicking in here. So I like to see this hold as support. You can see we're right in this candle going the opposite direction. You see all this right here. I can do this. You see how we had this previous support here? And you have this candle, and then you have this candle right here, all right in that area. And that's exactly where we're kind of hitting with here. So I'm interested in seeing if we can get a reversal off this that continues heading up there. Let me see, what's the monthly here real quick. The monthly trying to cross bullishly right here, but we've still got another 10 days or so left in the month. Monthly finding resistance right here for now. The way we can look at those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. And so then the question becomes, you know, do we have an ABC complete right here? Or are we going to dip here? And that's really kind of what we're looking at overall with these charts I'm about to pull up. Okay. So right now I'm watching this, seeing, okay, can we get the movement out of this descending resistance, which if we do, will be right around the current monthly pivot at about 861.8 billion there. If we can get impulsive breakout and close above that, we should be heading up to new highs here, breaking back out above $1 trillion. So that's what we're looking at there. You can see here on this daily Stochastic RSI reset there nicely, but we do need to follow it up through there. So here's some charts we're looking at. Potentially, this is HNT USD, swept this March 25th low here, or March 9th of 2025 low. Swept that back up. We were looking for a breakout above the 2.54 here. We got that. It rallied up and got rejected at the S1 pivot. So now we're going to see, can we get some follow through here? How does the daily candle end? And we're getting a spike of volume here. So regardless of how this candle ends, what we're going to need to see is a break back out above it to invalidate control to the downside here, because you've got a big candle with a big spike of volume. Okay? So right now we're looking for that. So if we can break out above, if this low can hold here and we can break out above 3.05, that's going to signal that the low is probably in here. And so then we'll be looking, for the move up here toward $3.55 and then up here toward $4.3738. And by the time we're getting up there, if we're getting up there, we should be able to rally up to the yearly pivot at $6.63 and even break out above that and head up. Potentially looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, ABC, and then A, B, C here working down. So a WXY flat correction here is what we're looking at from this all-time high over here on February 12th of last year. Okay? So I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and you can even see on the weekly here, we're getting this nice doji again after barely sweeping this low here. Support here at the S1 pivot. So there's a lot of potential goodness on here, so we'll have to see if we can get it going up or if we get one more sweep here below this $2 and basically 10-cent area and then heading up. Right now, swept right through, as you can see here, the bottom end of this low volume node right here. Jump right back up to the high volume node. So I'm really interested in seeing, can we get this rally up, or if we're going to need a little bit of move down and then the rally up. So that's one of the ones I'm watching right now. KSM, we got about a 70.5 pullback here. We could still, again, pull back further. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then ABC 1, 2, ABC 3, 4. Potentially ABC is 5 here, ending diagonal. So I'm looking for a breakout. Even if it breaks out a little bit lower here, I'm still looking for a breakout above $15.45 to indicate that that low may be in. Breaking out above 1750 is going to make that much more likely. Breakout above wave B at $20.67 is going to add confidence to your count. And from where we're currently sitting, minimum expected wave 3 target up here at $48.25. Now, again, we could pull back a little bit further here. We got the 78.6 around $13.41. But what we're looking for is this breakout above 1545 to really start getting us paying attention a lot, right? So that's what I'm looking for. So even if it pulls back a bit further here, I'm looking for that breakout above 15.45 to say, okay, that low may actually be in finally. EGLD, USD, same idea. 5 up, AB here, and then ABC 1, 2, ABC 3, 4, AB potentially C is 5 here. Again, deep pullback right around 78.6, so we'll see if we can hold that. If it comes down lower, I'd probably be looking right here around that $12.70, $12.68 area. But, again, we have to be cautious. We're pretty close to this swing lower, so we don't just catch falling knives, right? So if we're looking for what would be your first hint that maybe that low is in, you want to look there at 1472. Getting out about 1621 is going to make that much more likely. Breakout above $20.26 going to add confidence to the count. And from where the low currently is, minimum expected wave 3 target at 36.75. So no guarantees that we're going to get that, but that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for the setup. We're not trying to catch a falling knife. We're not assuming that this count is correct. We're saying, listen, there is the setup there. There's a good chance. Now we need to start hitting these levels to start adding more and more confidence. And where you enter depends on what your risk tolerance or your risk aversion is. If you're more risk tolerant, you know, you might be willing to jump in here above 14.72 or even to jump in on a smaller time frame and get in there, right? Something like this here. This the 2-hour chart here. I mean, this 2-hour chart looks like it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe a 1 and a 2. We're resetting down here and oversold, just about. So you could watch this. You got demand in these wicks here. Watch for the, watch to see if you can get a rally up. But possibly want to see how these things turn out, right? H bar, another one. Again, the idea that, we're getting these ABCs down to these ending diagonal type things coming down potentially, right? Maybe complete, may come on down a bit further to 14 cents around that 78.6 retracement, monthly S1 pivot area, but looking for a breakout above 0.16346. Okay. So same thing we're looking at on a lot of these. AVAX here. AVAX dipping down a bit here. Right around the, what is that? The S1 pivot here on the monthly. That's a pullback so far. Right around 70.5. Getting it lower, the 78.6 is right there at 1672. So, we could see that still pushing back down there toward that. I want to break out above $20.01 here to signal that that low may be in, because I'm looking at this as ABC for W, X, and then ABC for Y here. So get a double zigzag correction. So, if we can hit that 78.6 and get a rejection off there, a reversal, that'll give us a minimum expected wave 3 target up here at about $44.50. So even if you're waiting for a move above $20, you still got another $24.50 move just to get to wave 3. That's not even wave 5. And that's minimum expected wave 3. You can have, wave 3 can overextend, right? It could overextend and hit 56 or even, 81 here. Velo is another one. We're kind of sideways here, just at that 70.5 retracement. Potentially another double zigzag. WXY may be complete here. Looking for a breakout above 0.05558. Notice none of these are like, hey, jump in right now and do it, because there's no confirmations yet. You guys have to learn, if you want to have any kind of success, in trading, you have to learn to look for setups. Not just to jump in because you're impatient or you're worried or you don't know what. And a lot of that impatience and being worried about, oh my God, I'm going to miss out, whatever, is because you don't know what's going on, right? So you're just trading emotionally, which is going to lead to a lot of problems. So, start learning to start looking for confirmations, even if you're not exactly sure how to trade completely just yet or whatnot. Look for confirmation areas. Look for previous, if it's pulling back downward like this is, look for previous lower highs, right? High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high here, right? So you just want that. That's a minimum area which you should be looking at there. Let me see here. Injective. Injective looks interesting as well. Potentially got a flat correction going on here in the form of a WXY. But we need that breakout above $12.37 to kind of indicate that low may be in. Breaking out above $14.32 is going to make that much more likely. Okay. Dot. Same idea. We're dipping down here around the S1 pivot. It's a deep pullback, so you want to be careful. You don't just want to buy just because. Right? Now, just because it's deep doesn't mean it can't find a bottom here with, and keep that low and still go up. But you don't just want to enter haphazardly. So this is the daily, and on the daily, RSI is about to reset. Stochastic RSI is just about bottomed out and oversold. Let's see if we hold this support here. Again, ABC, ABC, potentially ABC here, ending diagonal potentially for wave C. So a lot of these are looking this way, and a lot of them, though, are going to be kind of close to that swing low. So you want to be careful with it. If you have to, drop into your lower time frames. Check what's going on there. This is the 4-hour. You can see that RSI is well reset here. Stochastic RSI is nearing a reset again into oversold. Checking the 2-hour, checking the 4 and the 1 hour here. Look at the volume coming in. Look at the story being told at the volume on the 1 hour here. So there was a lot of volume on the 1 hour here coming here with this doji to send it down through this low here. A lot more volume coming in. Got about 1:30 left on here. So unless we get a sudden break up higher, we should expect this to kind of push down at least another candle or two. But look at how close we are on the 1 hour, resetting back into oversold potentially. Stochastic RSI as well. So maybe we get another 1 hour push down a little bit lower. Kind of down toward this area here, maybe this $3.39, $3.35, 36 area. Okay. Let me see here. So yeah, so we want to see, does this hold it? It's not a big deal that it's pushing through right now because this is the daily time frame. This candle still has another, 6-7 hours until the daily ends. So it's not a big deal that it's pushed through because we can end up like this with a large wick or even like this one, right? But we want to see at the end of this day, especially if this daily candle can close back above that S1 pivot, that would be a great sign. A wick just below it here. But again, you still want to get that breakout above $3.99.5 basically to indicate maybe that low is in. Ape, another one. Ape is looking interesting as well. Looks like we got 5 waves up. Could be a flat correction here for wave 2. And it could still dip a little bit here and finish off. But finding support right around this pivot area here, potentially. Right? So we got this range kind of like this here. We have volume that continues to drop off. You can actually come from the swing high up here. We had a big volume, so that rejection, okay, that's what we expect. But look at what's happened since then. All these small candles, all overlapping, and volume dropping off overall as well. So I'm really interested in seeing, can we get a reversal around this area, whether it's the pivot or we dip just below this swing low right here at the range support at about 0.588. If we can get maybe a spring down through this and right back up, man, you want to go long then. And you may be looking up here toward, a $2 area, depending on, how far this dips here. We're right here at this low volume node. We're at the top of this low volume node that's providing that support. So, it is possible we could dip down here maybe to 55 or 56 cents. At the top of that, at the bottom of that low volume node there. The top of this the high volume node here. And so again, why is that important? Because if we dip down to this high volume node, because we're above it, this high volume node would work as support. these are not, the high volume nodes are not, you know, what we would call bearish or bullish. It just depends, you know, just by themselves. It depends on where price is in relation to that. Price here is below this, so this is going to work as resistance. The market is just telling you it's interested in this area. Because we're below it, the market's telling you it's more interested in selling. Jump it down to this one, if we did dip on down there to 55 or 56 cents, right, would be on top of this high volume node. So that would tell us, again, all the high volume node tells us is the market's interested in there. But if we're coming down into it, it means the market's going to be interested in buying there. Doesn't mean it has to hold as support though, right? Just like this doesn't have to hold as resistance. But it just means that at those areas where the high volume node is, that is where the market is interested. And if you're coming down into it, you're going to find more support there. If you're coming down, or if you're trying to push up into it, you're going to find more resistance, more selling going on. But yeah, this thing's set up here as well on APUSD. Leo was a good one. We did this one earlier this week at the academy there. We had this nice little bump out and this pull back into this support here. And then boom, thrust up into first target at the pivot, second target up here around this 23.5 area. Absolutely beautiful move. So now we're looking for this idea that maybe this is a 1 and getting a 2 on the pullback. So now we're going to see, you know, is this going to give us a wave 2 on the pullback? Maybe get us down here around, you know, 19 cents, 18.5 cents. And then see if we can get a reversal back out. Big picture, maybe a 1 and a 2 here. Pulled back almost 61.8. Again, right into this low volume node. So we're going to wait and see. You know, this pullback here, can we find some support down here that'll get us a rally and a breakout? And if we can, whoops. You know, just kind of guessing about the areas. If we get this real deep pullback here, I mean, you know, then you're looking at a move maybe from 18.5, 19 cents up to 29.5 cents. 5 waves up around 32.5, 40 cents, 32.5, 33 cents. Which just gets us what? It gets us right up into the supply here on this daily time frame. We got supply up here, untouched supply, right? Actually, I'd pull it from here. Look at that. So that's my demand structure right there. 5 waves up from around 18.187 gives us the EQ of this supply structure up here. I mean, so I really like that. So again, I want to watch. It just means I automatically put a bid down here and hope it grabs it and goes. I want this to come down here, and when we're getting down to this area, I want to zoom into like the 2 hour, the 1 hour time frame, maybe even the 15-minute, see if I can get signs of a reversal down here to get in and potentially, you know, get a trade something like this. Because it's a shorter time frame. That becomes basically almost a 20-hour trade on that. But yeah, if you're watching the daily, and when you get to those higher time frame points of interest, you zoom into a small time frame like the 15-minute, and you know what you're looking for there for potential reversal, you can get your stop loss really close to your entry on the larger time frame here, which gives you a huge return. You know, if you hit this, if you get in here and your target, you know, and your stop loss is there and your target's up here, for every dollar you risk, you're going to make $18.43. I mean, why would you do anything else, right? Let me jump in here real quick. With these, let's see what's moving today. So this is AERGO, Ergo USD. Getting a nice big pump here. It's right here. You see at this low volume node? That's where it is. So when you're looking for this movement down, movement up, movement back down, The same area where you have this resistance became that support and gave that thrust up. But we're still at the pivot, here on the monthly. I mean, I want to see a daily, impulsive daily breakout and close above this 0.154 area. Because if you get rejected, you could just fall back down. You want to see that impulsive breakout move. Now, for me, I'm really more interested, that's just a generic kind of entry there, but I'm really more interested in breakout and close above 0.1835. Because this is the swing high, the lower high right around that pivot area. So I want to see a breakout above that lower high there. There's your weekly. Again, look at that area where you're getting that support there. Resistance, 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 support, support, resistance, support. All the way across here, candle body support. It's a great area to look for that reversal. But see what happens here? Into the high volume node. Remember what I just told you a little bit ago about high volume nodes? If you're coming up under them, right, they work as resistance. So you get some selling going into it. Notice that one I said I want to get above. Look where it's above. It's above the yearly pivot here. Yeah, so I want to see that breakout above 0.1835 to start getting excited about this potentially being a bottom here. And, if this is, right, you get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Which rallied all the way to the R5 pivot there on the yearly. Look at where else we got the pullback here. It's basically the 70.5. Man, I'm loving everything I'm seeing about it. I want to see some follow through, but I like the setup here. So we'll see if we can get that follow through. That would give us wave 3 target up here at 8.3476. Yeah, that's a lot, right? If you don't like that, just drop your thing to regular, right? Deal with it that way. And here you can look at $1.23, if that makes you feel better. Neon here, you can see on the weekly, right? That's why I like these weekly time frames. They show you a lot of information that you're not going to really see on the lower time frames. But you have this demand structure right here on the weekly. And you basically hit the EQ of that and popped up. Now, look what's happened here. It's pulling back to that previous week's open. That's where we're at. So we would really like to see this kind of close higher here. Today's Friday. We've got until Sunday. So we still got a few more days to see if we can get it. Right? Perhaps this is impossible to answer, but do you think we see Ethereum make a new all-time high this year? A new all-time high? Let me see here. I don't think I've updated this in a bit. We'll see what we got here with this chart. So you're talking about a breakout above on Kraken here. That's 48.67, huh? I mean, I could see it happening. Hell, we're at 2480 now. I mean, it's less than 100%. It's definitely doable. Are we going to see it though? I don't know that I can answer that really intelligently. Honestly, I would say it's definitely possible. But if we're going to do it, I don't know if we're going to do it. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do it, but it's definitely possible with it being just slightly less than 100%. Yeah. Wish I had something better to tell you, but I'm not really good with timing. And I've said that so many times before. So I usually try to stay away from the whole timing thing and just talk about the levels and just trade them. And it works for me, right? It's worked for me. I've been doing this for 31 years, almost 31 years now. I guess it's been about 31 years now. And I just, I found that timing doesn't work for me very well. And for most people, it doesn't, Some people claim it does. Very few people actually are consistently correct with timing. But as long as you kind of look at trading as this thing that you do over time, it's not something you just do today and you make $1 million tomorrow and that's all you got to worry about. You look at it as a marathon, not a sprint. Then you just start focusing on the levels. You just start focusing on the levels. And you don't worry about, does it hit it, next month or next week or whatever. And then that ends up making your life as a trader much, much easier. You're not so stressed out about everything's going on all the time or not going on at the time. Let me see here. If we reverse it and we're looking at the big losers so far, this is Fort USD. Look at this weekly candle, guys. Big weekly candle here. Big move up, almost hitting that R5 pivot on the monthly. Man, I would be looking. I would see if this fair value gap here holds. We're coming right here. I would see if we hold it. I think we come down a bit further, but that stochastic RSI on the 4-hour is almost reset. I could see us. I don't know. I could even potentially see us coming down here to that 7-cent area maybe. But you got a large fair value gap right here. You got this large low volume node. So we're coming up into this ledge here. It's higher volume node ledge. But, when we look at this, let's kind of pull in some more of the chart here. So when we're looking way over here, you can kind of see where these overall here since toward the beginning of the year, February of this year, where the market is really interested in. They're kind of interested, if we're losing down here, they're interested again right here around almost 8 cents, and then down here at around 7.6, 7.7 cents. So those would be like my next two downside targets I'd be looking at on Fort here. Demo had a good move up. Now pulling back. I mean, this could be A, B, C on this pullback here. Right now we pulled back just about 61.8. So if it continue getting down here, and we're right here at this area. But I'd look at the 0.0514, 0.05 would be my next two kind of levels I'd look for pullback into. But you do have this fair value gap here as well on this 4-hour. Right there, the 78.6 retracement is right there at the top of that fair value gap. And of course, there's your daily. Big move up, rejected right here where everything was. Some pullback there. So, again, I think there's some possibility that we could be looking at and maybe a low coming in, but we need to have some confirmation, guys. You don't want to get stuck in there where you're just jumping in because, you're like, oh, well, this looks convincing today. Because unless you're getting the follow through, you can get this big move up. Everybody gets excited and they go long up here. And guess what? Pulls way back, right? You don't want to be caught in that. when you're trading. So, I mean, one thing you can do here as a general kind of thing you're looking at is this total 3. Look for a breakout, an impulsive breakout and close above this descending resistance, which basically means above the monthly pivot here at 861.8 billion. That's what you're going to want to see. If you can get that. If we're dropping down further, if we're breaking down further, we may see it coming down here, 765.3 billion. Means more pain for alts, right? You may get to trade the support loss live on Bitcoin. What are we looking at here? Yeah, see, looking for that move on down here toward that 102 area. Break here. We actually have to sweep this wave A here for this to be a wave C. If it just comes down and that wave A holds and isn't breaking and it heads back up, I mean, again, we go back to that blue count, which says A, B, C, D. This really weird, barely moved down E. So you want to see, does it break that 102,758.5 to get down to 102 down there? Yeah. So yeah, for this right here, it does look like it's an A and then A, B, C, D, E is a B is a triangle. And then C, rejection at the pivot. Come on down here toward, see if we can get that S1 here. So I'll sit here for a minute, guys. We'll see what we're doing here. Let's see what we get. That 1 hour RSI is almost oversold here. Trying to break down. And we've got basically a range right here. There we go. There's our breakdown. One hour is getting close to resetting down there. But there's still like another 40 minutes left in the hourly, so we'll see what happens here. Like here, I guess. E over here. Coming right down into this demand structure down here. What's that 15-minute look like? Oh, that 15 minutes printing bullish divergence here, potentially. Got about 8 minutes and 44 seconds left on it. So yeah, I mean, doing what we were expecting it to do, which works out really well. At the Academy last night, we were looking at this potential whole thing potentially being a triangle here. So A, B, C, D, and E. And then it didn't break down. It broke out instead. So this morning when that happened, I came here and said, okay, well, that looks like an A and then an A, B, C, D, E is a triangle. And that gives us a C. Got rejected at that weekly pivot. And so I told them, I said, listen, if we break down below wave E here, right here, that would make it likely that that's what's going on, that this ABC here as a wave 4 potentially completing coming down. And so that's what we got, right? See, I think what happens is we get something like this, and most of retail is freaking out now and going, oh my God, it's breaking down. Oh my God. But instead of thinking, oh my God, where's my opportunity to buy, right? It's crazy because when it comes to trading, it's that one thing where, where you should be looking to pay less. And when the opportunity comes, you don't, right? You get upset about it. And then you're kind of upset that, when it goes the other way, when it does go up, then you're upset you didn't buy down at that low, right? It's kind of crazy how that works. We're going to hang out here for a minute, guys, for a few more minutes, maybe. See if we can get that. And we got all the support pivots on the 15-minute and right there around 101.5 on this chart, which means it's right about there. Oh, it didn't work. See if I can get this to show up on here. What the heck? Well, 101.5 kind of takes us right down here. The 15-minute, and so that would be on, so that's the daily. So on the weekly, yeah, that just puts us at the top of this, what was this, the 4-hour demand structure? Yeah, 4-hour demand structure, which is interesting. Okay, it looks like we swept that wave A now. 102.741.14, 102.758. Yeah, so we're good to go with this current kind of count that we're looking at. And we'll see if we can make that push down there if it just sweeps kind of this wave A here. Actually, I don't know that this will be 1, 2, 3, 4 here because this is A, B, 3, 4, 5. So this is an ABC here, which would make it a W instead of an A. Then X up here. And then if this is going to be 3 down and up, then we'd look for 3 down lower here. But nonetheless, same thing still kind of applies here. Get a little bit of a bounce there. Makes sense. Potentially bullish divergence. Yeah, you can see right here, you see how the volume picks up and these candles get larger. See the volume expansion and the candles get larger? That's trending. That's when somebody says something's trending, generally speaking, you should see the candles going from smaller candles to larger candles, candle spreads, candle bodies, while volume is expanding as well. Both those things should be happening at the same time in a trend. And then you get the bounce here, right? Volume drops back off, overlapping candles, and then small candles into larger candles here in volume expansion. So just doing exactly what we're looking for it to do. Continuing to push down here now. Usually when you're hitting the S3 pivot, you're at least going to hit the S4, if not the S5. So by the time you're getting through here, you're usually trying to run the whole support pivot grouping. Same thing when you're doing the rally. Most of the time, if you're breaking out above the R3, you're heading up toward the R5. Sometimes you can stop the R4, but usually heading up through the R5. So here, breaking out through the S3 should have us at least to the S4, if not the S5 here. And the thing is, once you run all your pivots, usually that's a reversal happening. So, whether it's right there or, comes past it a little bit. So we'll see, if we get maybe a bounce here. If we were to get a bounce here, if this is going to be 5 down, the expectation would be a bounce back up here to around 104.5, 104.7, right around this area. And then a move back down. And as you can see with that, the 100% where, again, if this is going to be an A, a B, and a C, right around 101,000, 123.6, right around 100,000, 115. So if we were to get that dip down below the S1 pivot here. Well, we'll see what happens locally here. We're not really getting any strong kind of thrust down lower yet. Well, we are resetting on the 1 hour with another 30.5 minutes left. 4 hour stochastic RSI. We got a couple of big 4 hour candles here. Stochastic RSI breaking down below neutral. So yeah, again, not doing anything I didn't expect it to do. I spent a while at the beginning here talking about what we were looking for it to do and the levels we're watching and the targets, depending on whether you get the rallies through or the breakdowns through as you go through it. That's an ugly 12-hour candle. But so far, it's just kind of swept this low here. But again, all your support. Look at all these wicks here. All down in this area. Right at the top of this low volume node. Again, the daily reset into oversold yesterday is resetting further today. We like to see that. So coming back to this, looking at this potentially being a wave C, it just needs to reverse prior to that wave A swing low here at about 100,430. So as long as you can reverse prior to that, we'll look at this being wave C, 3 waves up for wave D, 3 waves back down for wave E. And I expect that would take the weekend if we're going to do that. But don't forget, guys, if we continue breaking down through wave A, look for either a sweep where you just get a wick down, maybe this 98 area and then a move back up, or further comes, gets us down here toward that 94.5, which is that monthly S1 pivot area down here. And that's what I'd be looking at to the downside. Other than that, the upside, what we're looking for there. Don't be impatient. Don't be in a hurry to just jump in. As you can see for right now, anyway, we're, demand is starting to show up here. We're not getting real big push down below that swing low at this moment. All right. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you dealing with the no video today. I've got some work to do this weekend to get everything working again and whatnot. So Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But I think there's a triangle here. It looks like a triangle, but again, we don't just buy and go, oh yeah, it's definitely a triangle without confirmation, right? So look for your confirmations. As always, remember the only thing you control is how much you lose. So please keep working on that risk management. I hope this has been beneficial, guys. Again, is our altcoins here just yet? Potentially, but a lot of them are sitting there kind of close to that support. So you want to wait for the movement through some sort of confirmation, or at least some initial confirmation that, which I was talking about today. By the way, here real quick, on the 1 hour, potentially got some bullish divergence building here. 2 hour as well. Got another 27 minutes left in it. Potentially bullish divergence. 4 hour, not so much. But yeah, you can watch that there on the 1 hour and the 2 hour and see if maybe we get some bullish divergence. If anything, just for a bounce. But like I said, if we're getting a bounce, guys, again, just let me reiterate here. If we're getting a bounce, I think it gets stuck up here around this 104.5 area here. I think it's stuck there, and then we continue back lower, all right? So that's it. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like, hit the subscribe, follow, guys. And, yeah, doing what we thought, all right? Y'all have a great weekend. Trade safe out there. Let me see here. Thanks a lot, Revy. Always good to see you, buddy. Yeah. So that's it. Y'all take care, all right?